Have you ever wondered why the moment you finally find your strength, the very person who claimed to love you the most seems to turn into your silent enemy? Why, when your backbone stiffens and your eyes shine with self-certainty, their gaze suddenly grows cold, calculating, as though measuring where best to strike next? You see, I, Freud, have spent a lifetime peering into the hidden machinery of the human mind. And I assure you, it is not your strength they hate. It is what your strength awakens in them. A narcissist, my dear friend, can tolerate almost anything your devotion, your weakness, even your resentment. But they cannot tolerate your independence. For your independence is the mirror that shows them who they truly are. Hollow, fragile, sustained by the applause of others. Let us not speak lightly of this dynamic. The narcissist's affection is never pure affection. It is a contract, signed, invisibly, with ink made of your sacrifices and your compliance. So long as you play your role as the admirer, the helper, the forgiver, they can maintain their illusion of grandeur. But the day you stand tall and say, "No more," a dreadful realization grips them. You have become dangerous. Not because you would harm them physically, but because your freedom threatens their psychic equilibrium. The narcissist, you must understand, does not relate to others as equals. Others exist merely as extensions of their ego, like limbs they can move at will. And when one limb dares move on its own, it becomes a threat that must be subdued. So, what happens when a narcissist sees you as too strong? They do not simply walk away. No, that would imply they could let go. Instead, they reach into their arsenal for the final, dirtiest trick. And that trick, my friend, is to convince you that your strength is cruelty, that your boundaries are betrayal, that your growth is selfishness. Do you see how cunning this is? If they cannot keep you through seduction, they will keep you through guilt. They will look into your eyes with trembling lips and whisper, "You've changed." They will sigh heavily, as if crushed by your coldness, and say, "You're so selfish now." They may even cry, not from genuine grief, but as a performance to hook your compassion. And if tears do not suffice, they will switch to rage, accusing you of being heartless, disloyal, ungrateful for all they've done. It is a psychological war. And the battleground is your mind. I want you to understand why this last trick is so effective. In the unconscious, we are not simply creatures of logic. We are creatures of guilt and longing. From infancy, we carry a yearning to be loved, to be good, to be worthy in the eyes of those we love. A narcissist knows how to play this note in your psyche like a virtuoso plays a violin. I recall a patient, whom I shall call Clara. She spent 12 years married to a man whose love was intense but conditional. He showered her with affection when she deferred to his wishes. But the moment Clara returned to university, seeking to revive her career, he withdrew all warmth. He accused her of neglecting the family, of thinking herself superior. And the cruelest blow, he told her that her ambition was proof she didn't really love him. Each time Clara tried to explain herself, he twisted her words into new weapons. "So you admit you're not the woman I married?" He'd say, eyes gleaming, savoring her panic. She was desperate to prove him wrong, to prove that she could be strong and still loving. She stayed longer than she should, trying to fix herself to save his approval. This is how the narcissist's last trick operates. By turning your desire for freedom into evidence against your character. My friend, hear me well. Your growth is not betrayal. Your independence is not cruelty. But the narcissist will make you feel as though it is. And why? Because deep inside them lurks an intolerable wound, the knowledge that they cannot truly hold anyone's loyalty without force, guilt, or manipulation. The narcissist's love is always a negotiation, a currency. They invest affection only to collect it back with interest. But real love does not demand that you shrink yourself. Real love delights in your expansion. Perhaps you ask me, why do I fall for this trick again and again? The answer, alas, lies buried beneath your conscious awareness. Your unconscious remembers the earliest scripts you learned in childhood, the quiet belief that love must be earned, that peace comes only if you suppress your needs. If, as a child, you felt your worth depended on pleasing others, you are vulnerable to the narcissist's final gambit. Because when they accuse you of selfishness, it echoes the old fear that you are unlovable if you are fully yourself. But let me tell you a secret of the unconscious. What you do not consciously own will own you. The more you repress your right to your own life, the more the narcissist can hold it hostage. That is why my work has always returned to this principle. What is repressed returns, disguised. The narcissist's accusations are not truth. They are projections. They cast upon you the very selfishness they cannot admit in themselves. They accuse you of betrayal to distract from their own disloyalty to your shared reality. This is why I must ask you a painful question, one you may prefer to avoid. Whose voice is it, truly, that whispers in your mind, "You're cruel for leaving"? Is it your own voice, or is it the voice of the narcissist who once promised you love, or perhaps even the echo of a parent who taught you love must be earned? Listen carefully. If that voice fills you with shame, it is not the voice of your true self. It is the voice of a past prison trying to keep its bars around your spirit. So I beg you to remember. The final dirty trick of the narcissist is a spell of guilt. It is the desperate magic of someone terrified of losing control. Do not let it work. When they say, "You've changed," you must reply, "Yes, I have, and that is my salvation." Your evolution is not a crime. Your freedom is not an act of violence. It is the rightful birth of the person you were always meant to be. And if you find yourself wavering, trembling, tempted to prove your goodness by staying small, close your eyes and recall these words. A narcissist's love is only secure when you are insecure. The day you become secure, they must either grow or flee. And that is not your failing, it is your triumph. Perhaps you wonder why I speak with such urgency about this final trick of the narcissist. Why do I insist that you see the cruelty hidden inside the velvet glove? Because I have watched too many souls fall back into the trap, mistaking guilt for love, punishment for reconciliation. You see, a narcissist cannot allow you to stand apart because they fear that your independence exposes the emptiness at their core. You become a living reminder that affection can exist without submission, that devotion does not require servitude. 2. A narcissist, that is unbearable knowledge. It reminds me of a phenomenon I first encountered in my work with hysteria. When patients' symptoms spoke truths their conscious minds dared not utter. A woman who lost her voice for months was, in truth, refusing to speak words she feared would destroy her marriage. A man who lost the use of his legs unconsciously wished to flee a life he felt imprisoned by. The symptom was the message. The body spoke what the lips could not. In the same way, when a narcissist wages this final war upon you, they are also revealing the hidden truth of their own soul. Their rage, their sorrowful accusations, their trembling voice, they are symptoms. And the symptom is this: they cannot tolerate a partner who is free because they, themselves, are prisoners of their own fragile ego. Imagine, if you will, a child building a tower of blocks. The child is proud, ecstatic. But if anyone dares touch the tower, the child shrieks, throws a tantrum, insists that only they may decide its fate. The narcissist is that child, still trapped inside an adult body. Their entire self-esteem rests upon the delicate tower they have built, the tower of being admired, desired, seen as special. But your strength threatens to knock over that tower. And so they rush in with their final dirty trick, the moral high ground. They cloak themselves in virtue and accuse you of selfishness. They cry, "How could you do this to me? After all I've done for you?" Oh, how artfully they choose their words. For the narcissist knows that few wounds cut deeper than the accusation of being ungrateful. They count every kindness they ever bestowed upon you like coins in a ledger. They will say, "I was there when you were nothing. I supported you when no one else did. And this is how you repay me?" It is a performance designed to awaken your earliest, most primitive guilt. My friend, let us descend for a moment into the cave of your unconscious, for there lies the true battleground. In every human being, there is a conflict between the ID, which seeks to fulfill its desires, the superego, which demands obedience to rules and morality, and the ego, which must mediate between these two forces and the reality of the world. When a narcissist attacks you with accusations of selfishness, they recruit your superego against you. They turn your own moral conscience into a weapon. This is why their attack feels so powerful. It does not merely come from them. It feels as though it comes from inside you. Let me tell you about another patient. I shall call him Lucas. Lucas was an artist, passionate and gentle, who fell in love with a woman whose beauty was matched only by her hunger for adoration. At first, she seemed enchanted by his creativity. She praised him as a genius, showered him with attention. But slowly, subtly, the praise turned conditional. When he spent long hours in his studio, she pouted and accused him of neglect. When he declined invitations because he wished to paint, she said, "You're so selfish. You think your art is more important than people." Lucas, raised by a mother who demanded constant sacrifice, felt an ancient guilt awaken. He gave in. He spent less time painting, more time trying to prove he was not selfish. The less he painted, the more irritable he became. He felt dead inside. One day, during a session with me, he whispered, "I'm afraid that if I follow my own path, I'll lose her love." And that, my friend, is the ultimate prison of the narcissist's last trick, the fear that freedom means abandonment. Let us be clear. It is not your freedom that destroys the relationship. It is the narcissist's inability to accept a partner as separate and equal. The narcissist will tell you that love means sacrifice, that true love requires giving up your dreams, your space, your friendships. They will call this devotion. But devotion without freedom is bondage. Love is not measured by how small you make yourself for someone else's comfort. Narcissists fear genuine intimacy, because genuine intimacy requires seeing another person as real, separate, with their own desires and boundaries. The narcissist cannot bear this. To see you as separate is to acknowledge that they cannot control you. And if they cannot control you, their entire illusion collapses. This is why they must convince you that your growth is cruelty. Because if you remain strong, they must face their own limitations. They must accept that you are not a possession, but a sovereign being. I must tell you another truth, one that may sting. Many who fall into the narcissist's web have a wound of their own, a fear of abandonment so deep that they will betray themselves to avoid it. We are creatures shaped by our earliest attachments. If, as a child, you learned that love was conditional, that you must be perfect, quiet, obedient to, be loved, you will be vulnerable to the narcissist's final trick. For the narcissist offers the same unspoken bargain. Surrender yourself, and I will love you. But my dear friend, love that demands your surrender is not love, it is dominion. So I ask you, when the narcissist calls you selfish, who benefits from your guilt? Is it you? Does your guilt make you a better partner, or merely a more obedient one? I say to you, the narcissist's accusations are confessions in disguise. When they call you selfish, they are speaking of themselves. When they say you've changed, they mean that you are slipping from their grasp. If you wish to break free, You must be willing to bear the discomfort of their disapproval. You must endure their accusations without trying to prove yourself innocent. Because the moment you start defending yourself, you are back in their game. Freedom, I have discovered, is not achieved through winning arguments. It is achieved through silence, through the quiet certainty of your own worth. So let me ask you, who were you before the narcissist told you who to be? Who might you become if you stopped trying to win their approval? You owe no one your diminishment. Let me whisper to you something that may feel radical. The day you refuse to explain yourself to the narcissist is the day you begin to reclaim your soul. I know how seductive it feels to defend yourself, to insist, I'm not selfish. I do love you. I'm not cruel. Your mind spins, drafting the perfect arguments. You believe that if you can only explain it clearly enough, the narcissist will finally understand and stop the war. But, my friend, let me reveal the cruel paradox. The narcissist does not misunderstand you. They understand you perfectly. They know that as long as you feel compelled to explain, you remain under their spell. This is the last dirty trick's deepest cruelty. It traps you in an endless defense of your own goodness. It makes you a prisoner of your own moral conscience. You see, the narcissist is a master puppeteer. Each accusation is a string tied to your guilt. Each sigh, each tear, each whispered, "You've changed," is a subtle tug. And you dance, not because you wish to, but because you cannot bear to be seen as cruel. I have spent years listening to these stories in my consulting room. Men and women, young and old, trembling as they recount how they tried to be good enough, how they sacrificed their friendships, their creativity, even their own bodies, hoping it would stop the accusations. Yet the accusations never stop. Consider a patient I once treated, whom I shall call Sophia. She was a brilliant scientist, fiercely intelligent, but gentle to her core. Her partner, Adrian, seemed charming to the world, but at home wielded guilt like a dagger. Whenever Sophia planned a conference or an evening with colleagues, Adrian would fall mysteriously ill. He'd clutch his chest, moan that he was dying of loneliness, accuse her of abandoning him. She canceled trips. She stopped speaking at conferences. She even declined a prestigious award because Adrian said, "How can you accept applause from strangers when your partner is suffering?" And still, Adrian declared, "You're so selfish. You only think of yourself." When Sophia told me this, tears ran silently down her face. Am I really that heartless? She asked. No, my dear. She was not heartless. She was entangled in the final dirty trick. Adrian's suffering was real, but it was suffering he weaponized to imprison her. The narcissist's final trick is often delivered with a trembling voice, with vulnerability so convincing it melts your resistance. It is a performance, but a performance they believe in. For even narcissists cannot see the entire truth of their own manipulations. Let us examine why this performance is so compelling. It rests upon the mechanism I named projection. A narcissist projects their own hidden selfishness onto you. They cannot admit, even to themselves, that they want absolute control, so instead, they accuse you of the very crime they commit. This is the unconscious at work. What cannot be accepted within must be cast outward, and so you become the villain in their inner drama. You are cold, selfish, ungrateful, but in truth, they are describing their own hidden impulses. Yet here lies the tragedy. Because you are sensitive, because you care, you internalize these projections. You begin to believe them. I ask you now, has there ever been a moment when you stood up for yourself, only to be told you were cruel? Did you feel a sickness in your stomach, an urge to apologize, to make it right? This urge is the echo of your past. It is the voice of childhood, reminding you that love must be purchased with obedience. But let me remind you, love is not a commodity. Real love says, I want you free even if your freedom sometimes frightens me. The narcissist cannot utter those words. They crave certainty, totality. They cannot abide your mystery. Your independence is a door they cannot unlock. And rather than admit this limitation, they condemn you as cruel. The narcissist's love is conditional. It says, I will love you, but only if you remain predictable. Only if you never outgrow me. Only if your world stays small enough that I remain its son. And so they spin the story. Your new strength is selfish. Your new clarity is betrayal. Your new boundaries are acts of war. My friend, listen to me as you would listen to your own heartbeat. This is not true. Your boundaries are not acts of war. They are acts of self-preservation. Your clarity is not cruelty. It is light. Your independence is not betrayal. It is the path toward authentic love. The narcissist's last dirty trick thrives only in darkness. It dissolves in the presence of your inner light. But to wield that light, you must endure the narcissist's fury or their tears. You must be willing to be misunderstood, even hated. You must accept that you cannot convince them of your goodness because they need you to feel bad to stay in control. Freedom often feels at first like guilt. That is the cost of breaking free. So I ask you, what do you fear more, that they will call you selfish or that you will continue living a life that does not belong to you? In my studies of the psyche, I learned that repression creates symptoms. What we bury returns, disguised. If you bury your need for freedom, it will return as anxiety, as exhaustion, as a silent scream inside your chest. This is why I say, the only way to defeat the narcissist's last trick is to refuse to play. To meet their accusations with silence. To let your actions speak. To let your life become the proof of who you are. You are not selfish for growing. You are not cruel for seeking your own path. You are only reclaiming what was always yours. Your selfhood. So if the narcissist looks into your eyes and says, "You've changed," I implore you to answer, not with tears or defense, but with quiet certainty. Yes, I have changed. I am finally becoming myself. Let me tell you why it is so difficult to withstand the narcissist's final assault. It is because this assault strikes not merely at your present choices, but at the very architecture of your identity. You see, the human psyche is like a house built upon earlier foundations. The walls may be freshly painted, the furniture modern, but deep beneath the floorboards lie old beams laid down in childhood. And it is upon those beams that the narcissist accusations find their grip. A person who has always felt worthy, who grew up secure in love, might hear the narcissist's words, "You're cruel, you've changed," and simply shrug. They know who they are. But if, like so many who find themselves entangled with narcissists, you learned as a child that love is conditional, the narcissist's words fall into those old grooves like water, returning to a riverbed. The voice of the narcissist merges with the voices of parents who scolded you for being difficult, teachers who called you too sensitive, lovers who said you expected too much. The narcissist's genius lies here. They weaponize your past against you. It is why so many victims stay. It is why, even when the narcissist's behavior grows monstrous, you find yourself haunted by questions. Am I being unfair? Is it me who's the narcissist? Maybe I'm expecting too much. No, my friend. You are not expecting too much. You are expecting the bare minimum of human respect. Let me illustrate with another story from my practice. A patient I shall call Michael. Michael was an entrepreneur, driven, magnetic. But in private, he was slowly dying under the weight of his partner's accusations. Whenever Michael achieved success, a new contract, a public speaking engagement, his partner would say, "You're so arrogant now. You think you're better than everyone." At first, he laughed it off. But as the years passed, the words seeped into him like a slow poison. He started declining opportunities. He spoke less boldly in meetings. He feared being too much. And one day, sitting across from me, he said, "I think I'm selfish for wanting my life to feel big." I told him the truth. It is not selfish to want your life to expand. It is not arrogant to honor your gifts. Yet the narcissist's final trick works, precisely because it distorts your desire for growth into evidence of moral failing. My dear friend, let me reveal another layer of this trap. The narcissist thrives on confusion. They alternate between warmth and cruelty, kindness and contempt. This is what I once named the traumatic bond. It is a powerful psychic tether, forged by unpredictability. Imagine a child who one day receives affection from a parent and next day punishment for the same behavior. That child does not learn to distrust the parent. They learn to distrust themselves. They wonder, what did I do wrong? This same mechanism plays out with the narcissist. One day, they adore you. The next, they accuse you of heartlessness. And because you long for the return of the good days, you try harder, apologize more, shrink smaller. This is the cruel genius of the narcissist's last trick. It makes you fight to prove your loyalty to someone who has no intention of seeing you clearly. Let me ask you, how many times have you said, "If I can just make them see who I really am, things will get better"? But you cannot make them see, because the narcissist does not relate to you as a whole person. They relate to you as a function. Your function was to mirror their greatness, to soothe their wounds, to remain predictable. The moment you assert a self that exists apart from them, they perceive it as betrayal. Even your silence can trigger them. I have heard narcissists rage, "Don't ignore me, talk to me." Because to them, your silence is not your right. It is mutiny. This is why the narcissist's accusations feel so perilous. They threaten exile. And to the unconscious, exile can feel like death. In the ancient mind, to be cast out of the tribe meant certain demise. Even now, our nervous system reacts as though social rejection is mortal danger. The narcissist exploits this primal fear. But listen to me closely. The person who would exile you for choosing yourself is not your tribe. The narcissist will tell you that no one will love you as they do. And in a sense, they are right, for no one else will demand your annihilation in the name of love. Consider a woman I once treated, whom I shall call Isabel. She left a relationship with a narcissist who for years had called her too intense, too needy, too emotional. After she left, he spread rumors that she was unstable, ungrateful, cold. Isabel feared she'd made a mistake. She missed him terribly, though she could not name what she missed, only the familiarity, the relief of no longer being accused. One day, she said to me, "What if he's right about me?" I answered her as I answer you now. People who truly love you will never require you to abandon yourself to keep their affection. The narcissist's last trick is designed to obscure this truth. They want you to believe that your selfhood is a crime, that your desires are shameful. But I tell you, the only thing that threatens the narcissist is that you exist apart from them, that you can choose silence, that you can walk away. So when the narcissist accuses you of having changed, of being cold, of being cruel, remember this. They are confessing that you have grown beyond the limits of their control. This is why, my dear friend, I urge you, do not seek to explain. Do not beg them to understand. Let your silence speak the language of freedom. And if you find yourself standing on the precipice, trembling with doubt, remember my words. The narcissist's love was never love. It was a contract written in invisible ink. A contract that demanded your erasure. Tear up that contract. Let yourself live. I wonder, as you listen to me now, whether there is a trembling in your chest, a quiet hope mingled with terror. The hope that maybe, just maybe, you could be free. and the terror that freedom might cost you everything you thought you needed to survive. Let me confess something to you. From the depths of my own observations and the silence of my study, where, for countless hours, I listened to souls in torment, freedom always exacts a price. But the price of remaining captive is far greater. Perhaps you ask me, Freud, if the narcissist cannot change, if their love is only a trap, then what was all this for? Were the years I gave them meaningless? No, my friend. Nothing in the human soul is meaningless. Even your suffering had meaning. It revealed to you the shape of your wounds, the hidden convictions planted in you by childhood fears. It forced you to confront the ancient belief that love must be earned through sacrifice. Through your entanglement with the narcissist, you have encountered the deepest conflict of the human condition, the tension between belonging and authenticity. You have learned that love without freedom is not love, it is bondage. And this knowledge is the seed of your liberation. I have always said, what is repressed returns. But the same is true of what is true and beautiful in you. Your true self, even buried under years of guilt and fear, waits patiently for its hour. It sends you signals, a surge of anger, a sudden clarity, a quiet certainty that you deserve more. These signals are not betrayals of love. They are the voice of life, insisting that you were born for more than obedience. There is a part of you that knows the truth. Listen to it. When the narcissist tells you, "You're cruel, you've changed." Let these words ring like an ancient incantation, dissolving their spell. Yes, I have changed. I have remembered who I am. Let me share with you what I have discovered about the nature of the psyche. In every human being, there dwells the ID, the superego, and the ego. The ID cries out for desire. The superego imposes rules, and the ego tries to mediate between the two. The narcissist hijacks your superego. They implant their voice into it, so that when you think you hear your conscience speaking, it is, in fact, their condemnation echoing in your skull. This is why breaking free requires silence. Not only silence toward the narcissist, but also silence inside yourself. A clearing of the noise. A return to your own voice. Many people ask me, but Freud, shouldn't I at least try to explain my side? I answer with certainty, no. For every word you offer the narcissist is fuel for their arguments. They will twist your logic, mock your feelings, spin new accusations from your confessions. It is not understanding they seek. It is submission. Your silence is your shield. Your silence says, I will not negotiate my right to exist. This silence, of course, feels unbearable at first, because silence leaves you alone with your fears. But it is in that silence that you will finally hear the most important voice of all your own. Allow me to remind you of a simple but brutal truth. Narcissists do not mourn you as you are. They mourn the version of you that served them. Your authentic self is a stranger to them. And that, my friend, is not your tragedy, is your salvation. If you wish to know whether a love was true, observe how it responds to your freedom. True love expands when you grow. False love contracts and calls you cruel. So here we stand at the end of our session together, and I must leave you with a question. Will you keep negotiating your existence for crumbs of conditional affection? Or will you risk the loneliness of freedom and discover the kind of love that delights in your wholeness? Freedom is not found in the narcissist's apology, for their apology is only a tactic, a brief intermission before the next act of the same performance. Freedom is found the moment you stop explaining, and I assure you, the loneliness of freedom is temporary. It is the darkness before dawn. For once you stand in your truth, you become a beacon. You will draw to you souls who love the real you. You will no longer attract those who require your diminishment to feel powerful. So let me leave you with one final truth, distilled from my years upon years, listening to humanity's secrets. Your growth is not cruelty. Your freedom is not selfishness. Your change is not betrayal. The narcissist will call it betrayal because they cannot own the truth that they do not love you as a person, but only as a role you are meant to play. I implore you, my friend, leave the stage. Let the mask fall. Walk off into your own life, because beyond the narcissist's final dirty trick waits the greatest discovery of all that you were never, ever too much. You were simply never meant to be small dot, so if they come to you one last time, eyes glittering, with tears, voice trembling as they say, "You've changed," smile and answer, "Yes, and thank God for that." This is the final liberation. This is the moment your life becomes your own. And now, I extend to you one last invitation, an invitation not merely from Freud, but from the depths of your own unconscious. Share with me in the comments below the moment you knew you are ready to reclaim yourself. What was your turning point? What truth set you free? And if these words have touched something hidden in you, subscribe. Stay close, and let us continue this journey into the mysteries of the human soul. For I promise you, there is so much more waiting to be revealed, because the unconscious never sleeps, and neither shall our search for truth.